Welcome to Talent Instinct, an electrifying space where we dive into how construction business owners revamp their hunt for top-tier talent by instinctivizing their efforts. It's time to spice up relying on systems and processes and discover prime insights on how to smartly apply their most important aspect, their instinct, as well as intellect, to pinpoint individuals who don't just fit in, but flourish. Let's face it, making the right hire for your business has never been more paramount. The stakes of the wrong hire can disrupt performance, profit, culture, and succession planning. Talent Instinct isn't about playing it safe. It's about conquering with calculated instinct. Welcome back to Talent Instinct, another episode. And this week I have Kim Allen with me from CRE Constructions. I'm going to let her do the intro and tell you where she's come from and what she's about. Kim, welcome.
Thanks, Chantal. Thanks for having me. So as you mentioned, my name's Kim Allen. I am from CRA Construction. We are a plastering company that I own with my darling husband. We are Brisbane-based. We have 20 plus employees plus subcontractors and focus on residential and commercial plastering.
And what did you do before you started the company?
Yeah, so my background is in selling off-plan properties and mortgage broking. So we started CRA when I was actually on maternity leave, and we're in a bit of a predicament job-wise. So it was something that we had to quickly create CRA on the fly. And yeah, I was thrown in the absolute deep end. My husband has been in previous business partnerships and was always the site contact or the foreman or the trade, supervisor, you would call him, project manager. And the other business partner would always do the back end. So it was something that I had to very, very quickly learn what a company is, how to run it, and everything else in between.
And how long has CRA been operating now?
Yeah, we've just gone past our 5-year anniversary. So it's always that, you make it the 5 years, you go through the ups and downs, and you kind of you come out at the 5-year. I think it's a turning point where you slowly, you finally get your confidence and go, you know what, I do have this. I can see this going long term, not, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah. I think it's 2 years ago, you're still building, right? And then, 3 years, it's a little better. And then, but 5 years, you go, okay, I'm solid. This is good.
Yeah, you got to find your feet, and you've got to really go down it's a struggle. There's just no denying it. There's an absolute struggle. Every single day is you get thrown a new spanner, and all of a sudden, Google is your best friend, and you try to have to figure it out yourself, and it's not easy. It's so these spanners still get thrown my way, but I know how to manage them a lot easier, or navigate how to find the answer instead of just winging it. So I make educated choices now.
And how have you divided up your roles, to make this family business work?
Yeah, so Chris and I have very, very clear roles in our business. Chris, when we first started out, it was just, sink or swim. It was very much so we'll both do whatever it takes. Now, with the amount of employees we have, I run I guess you'd call it a CEO level, but I don't like to pinpoint myself because I'm not that big. But certainly I oversee the business. I deal with all the financials. I deal with, I approve everything. I deal with all our team, not just our employees, but our solicitor or marketer or whatever it might be. Chris is our estimator, so he does all our quotes, and then also goes to site to do an overall view. So if we're having issues with a particular employee, or it might be a project manager that our supervisor can't you know, sort out himself, then we'll come in and step in and say, all right, we are the owner. This is our decision.
Yeah. And how many people do you have working for you now?
Yeah, so we have 20 employees, give or take. So this financial year has been huge for us. So we finally, we have a commercial supervisor now, full-time, a residential supervisor. We have an administrator now, which has been huge for me. It means that all of the stuff that was taking up my time and causing me a lot of stress has been delegated now, and we've hired the most phenomenal woman who is just smashing it. So we now all have our clear roles in the business, and it's not very often that we're stepping on each other's toes. So things are moving pretty smoothly, which is phenomenal. First time in a long time.
Did that have any effect on sort of your home life as well? Because I know with like a lot of family businesses, when you're working together, you're going home together, you know, it can definitely cause some friction.
Yeah, so for the first 4.5 years, we worked at my house. So we didn't have any full-time employees administration-wise. So it was just Chris and I in the office. And we worked side by side, moving from our kitchen table through to a small office, to a larger office, to then a big room. And now we've since bought a warehouse, which was a huge, huge milestone for us. We didn't make the move lightly, but we now have a work-life balance. That's where our administrator has come into it. So she has freed up my time. So we now can focus on growing our business. So I do a lot of, or we both do a lot of networking, or go to a lot of events, or just put our name out into the industry. And we can do that confidently, knowing we can step away from the office and be able to catch up with our work later. So I can now both Chris and I drop our kids to school. We can get home early and spend some quality time with our children, which was just unheard of. It was, you know, my children walk in the door from home and I'm still furiously typing away trying to finish my day's work, because God forbid 3 p.m. comes when school's finished. You know, there's no, the kids won't allow me to work with my mind in the game, you know, it's elsewhere. So it's been a huge, huge difference.
And when did you know that then it was time to step away? Because I know that a lot of people struggle with then being able to, you know, to give the invoicing to someone else or bring someone else in the company. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and he actually said to me, I think I'm going to use you a little bit more and get some other people on so I can step away a bit. Because I know even myself, the biggest struggle that I've had over the past 3 years is doing everything myself. You know, being able to train people up and, you know what I mean, be able to give that, because of course we do a lot of networking events together and stuff. So, you know, that's how we met. And I think that, you know, if we hadn't met, we wouldn't have this relationship. And it's because we've been able to then, you know, grow the business enough where we can actually step away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like, you know, you renovate your house, you want to get a plumber in because you know he's going to do the right job, right? It's the same as your business. You want someone that's experienced, that knows what they're doing and has the time and attention to do it right. This last year has been huge for us in learning to delegate. So don't get me wrong, like every single milestone or every single section of our business, I have done myself in the past. And I've had to learn that, and I've had to learn to then delegate. So I have recruited staff. I have done all my marketing, and I have learned how to, you know, post to this platform and that platform, and scheduling my posts and what to be writing in my posts, or, you know, my accountant, I've always tried to do a lot of it myself, and now I've had to learn to offload as we've grown more and more and more. It goes for every facet of my business now. The more that I can delegate, the better I can be at my job, and also growing our business or just sustaining our business and how we want it to grow. If you want to be a jack of all trades, that's fine, but your business won't grow because of that. You have to learn to be able to delegate.
I don't know one person that's good at everything. Like I know that I'm good at managing the business and recruitment and, overseeing everything, because I'm the same. I've done, everything from the ground up, and I've worn those different hats until I've gotten to the point where I can hand it over to someone else, so, but I just don't know, because there's only so many hours in the day. And as a human being, there's only so much you can do until you have worn yourself out.
Absolutely.
You just can't do everything, perfect then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same as a handyman. You might get them into your house to do XYZ small tasks, but you're not going to get them to build your house, are you?
No.
Because it's just not feasible. You're not going to trust him, and he won't do a good job. So why would you try and tackle every single other facet of your business? If you want your business to grow, you have to be able to relinquish control. And don't be wrong, it's I have definitely, in my role, so our administrator, she's been with us 3 months now, right? But every 2 weeks, she's smashed the tasks that I've given her, and she's ready to learn something new. And all of a sudden, I've handed over my invoicing, she's processing pays now, everything that I always thought I would keep control of.
Yeah.
She's just so competent that I go, well, yes, absolutely. Why would I not? Because it makes sense. I've hired her for a full-time role. I need to give her full-time hours. Why would I not have her do that? It's and that frees me up again to be able to, during the day, I might only do instead of a 60-hour week, I'll do maybe 30 hours during the day now a week, and then I can prioritize my other time in networking. Or whatever. I can be choosy because I have options now, and it also prevents burnout. There's so many, I don't know how many times I've been burnt out in the past 5 years, and welcome to the world of being a business owner. But it's something that I'm now feeling a hell of a lot more relaxed, because I know someone has my back, and should shit hit the fan, things are still going to progress.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So what are the 3 positives and, pros and cons of having a family business?
Okay, let's start with the pros, I guess. So I am 100% in partnership with my husband. We are very, very much so 50-50. And because of that, our relationship has grown tenfold. We have a higher respect level. There's no competition of who's earning more. There's no competition there's no power play. It's just,
I love that.
We are who we are, and our business would not survive without one or the other, and we're fully aware of that. I've tried to quit many times and been told, no, it's one of those things that is what it is. Another thing would be, we can do, we have choices. We can do our child drop off. We can do pick up if we choose. We can, last week I stayed in my daughter's classroom for a little bit because she needed that bit more time with me, and she wanted just quality mummy time, and I could, and I didn't have to answer to anyone. I had that availability. And another thing is, what else have I got? Would certainly be, well, life's a lot easier, to be honest. It's stressful, but it's certainly easy in terms of choices. The world is our oyster, and we are we will be who we want to grow to be. We're not held back by being in a position and waiting for that promotion.
Yeah. And the 3, cons? What are your challenges?
3 cons. I work with my husband.
I love how that's a pro and a con,
My husband chose to go out drinking on the weekend, and today in the office, I'm like, It's there's definitely, you have to find a balance, and it's not always perfect. It's something that you have to work on constantly. There's no perfect world. Another is, we do have sleepless nights. Like, you are running a multi-million-dollar company with a huge responsibility and a huge, so many people rely on you. It is a big stress, but it's something that you have to learn to grow yourself and learn to invest in yourself to deal with these things. We deal with lots of coaches and mentors, and you name it. We seek help, because why would I allow that responsibility on my shoulders solely? And then you're always throwing challenges, whether it be an emotional pull from a staff member, whether it might be, finding that next employee, whether it might be, there's always a constant. Every week we're like, all right, next week's going to be a great week. The way to stay positive, because the silver platter isn't just handed to you. It's something that you really have to work and stay positive, and find it's not all golden and roses on this side of the fence. Like, you have to work hard for it.
What did you say to me last week? If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Absolutely.
And what was my response? Can't you say something that makes me feel better? It's just like, that's part of it. So I want to move on and talk more about like your hiring now and your processes and the changes you guys have gone through, because I know you guys have gone through a massive change over the last 5 years. And I know that, you've definitely had some, some cultural changes as well with hiring new people. And, I want to find out more about how you're managing that as well. So I guess my first question would be is, obviously I talk a lot about what talent instinct is about, and that's about not just reading on paper what someone's about, and their qualifications, because we've seen it a few times where you get usual suspects and they just keep on coming back around, but they look fantastic on paper. So, so if you're just going to go on that note, or, whatever, and you weren't instinctivizing, that feeling about what's right, then you'd be going through heartache. So how have you learned along the way to instinctivize, your gut feeling, and find out those better hires and looking for what's not on paper?
Yeah, I got told recently, you hire slowly and fire quickly. And it's something it really resonated, because we have hired quickly many, many, many times, and these people don't work because what is on paper is not the reality on site. Whether it might be temper management, stress, whether it might be their skill level, work ethic, whatever it might be, it's you really, really have to go down and pull away from it. So beforehand, we would honestly, my husband Chris would he would have a chat with someone, go, yeah, sweet, start tomorrow, and all of a sudden they're there, and you go, okay, right. There was no documentation. It was for me to deal with later. So we now have a beautiful array of forms and contracts and agreements to go through in first instance. Second, we get their resume. We have a phone conversation. We have a in-person conversation. We then get them to have a trial on site. We then now purposely go away and think about it, because happy to admit that in person, I struggle to say no to people. So because we desperately need staff, So we make it on a desperate decision.
I think that I'm going to cut in just there, because I think that is the biggest thing that's been going on with the industry as well. And I had that conversation with someone just before we jumped on, and they turned around and said to me that they are worried about being as blunt as I am to manage their staff, because they need them so much that they're so scared to lose them. Right. Yeah. And, you know, for me, like, I actually want to mention, do you remember the first time I met you at the lunch?
Yeah.
And we were talking.
Yeah.
And I said to you, what's going on with your staff?
Oh, yes. I had 2 crackheads. Yes. I had just hired them off of Gumtree. Yes.
Well, thank you for being so honest. Yeah. And what was the conversation though? We had to actually turn around and say, like, the heartache, the pain, you know, everything, to go through that and have have them be so unreliable. Like, you never know when they're going to turn up.
Yeah.
You know? So honestly, it's kind of better to know that they're not going to turn up at all than have to deal with the flow-on effect of them not turning up sometimes, and, you know, having to explain to the builder or the other staff or whoever it is that they're not going to turn up today.
Yeah, look, just by that one of the staff members that we had at that time, he ended up stealing from one of our sites, doing drugs on the site toilet. He sleeping on site. He was so many things that, you know, that was from a ad that I put up on Gumtree, of all things, because I didn't know where else to advertise. And I didn't really have an advertising budget at that time. So I just sort of gave it a whirl, but we didn't do any due diligence at all. And I think our biggest failure is we always try to save people. And we've had to realize that we can't save everyone. If someone's on our team and going through a bad time, 100% I will do anything possible to help them. Yeah. But I can't hire someone who's not willing to put in the hard yards to begin with. It's always something that, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'll always help any of our staff members. But for someone that's only been working with me for a week or a month, who's only worked 50% of the time because they've gone MIA for the rest of the time, it's not feasible for a business to sustain that. And you can't keep hiring so many people one after the other on the assumption that for, you know, 70% of your time, you're not going to have all of your workforce. So it's, yeah.
And become such a costly exercise though as well, you know. Yeah. And I think what people don't realize, like, even from, you know, a recruiter's perspective, we spend a lot of time and money, you know, posting ads and, you know, finding people and, you know, going through and doing the whole process. That, like, when they don't show up or they aren't what they say they are, you know, it's so frustrating, you know, but you're right, you've got to, you know, hire slow and fire fast. And one of the good things about sort of labor hire, or, you know, going through recruitment, like we obviously do recruitment for you and you do it for yourself, but like, so, you know, but at least there's some sort of conversation that happens, you know, first off. But I mean, I had it the other day, like something as simple with an electrician, and just pulling cables. You'd think anyone can pull cables, but he went to an industrial site and, you know, couldn't do it. Sorry.
That's where the plasterer comes in and fixes 20 patches that didn't need to happen. It's, yeah, it's something that, no, we've definitely, I was going through our list of old employees beforehand, because for the first few years, we had a key bunch of guys that had been with us for 5 to 10 years, and they were our absolute bread and butter. But as we've grown, a lot of them haven't adapted to our change, and that's where we've experienced a big shift in culture, and are constantly trying to work on and improve our company culture and find that sweet spot of what we need to do to A, keep our employees motivated, B, keep them happy, but C, keep us above board and being able to keep running our business.
And so what have you done? What improvements have you made to, in the business to get a better culture or find out, what people are looking for to make the culture a better place? Because everyone obviously operates differently. You'll have one staff member that doesn't care and just wants, more money. You'll have another one that wants a barbecue every once a month. And you've got someone else that doesn't want culture. You know what I mean? So how do you tie all of that in? And, how have you decided to manage that process?
Yeah, we've tried all of the above. So we've recently just finished up a round of our annual reviews. So if a staff member has started with us, we're doing 3 monthly reviews, 6 monthly reviews, and in between dropping in and catching up with them personally on site at least once a month, just to see A, how they're fitting in with the team, B, is there anything that we can do better as an employer, and C, what do they need from us? How can we help them? And then we go on to our yearly reviews and just constantly, it really is so many different things. So we do a monthly barbecue now at our warehouse. Some love it, some don't. We've had to, the first few were afternoon barbecues where we allowed a few drinks to happen. Some people got a bit excited by that. So we've had to nip that in the bud. There was guys drink driving, and you can't have that as an employer. There were, so we're doing breakfast barbecues now, but we don't know if that's going to work. We go out and take our guys one-on-one to the pub and just sit down for a meal just to show our appreciation. We give bonuses as an appreciation. We try everything. But it's one of those things that we've realized you're never going to keep everyone happy.
And what do you think, or what do you say to people about, so again, for me, I believe in my way of managing even my internal staff is that I will turn around and say, okay, you did a great job there, keep on doing it that way, or okay, love your work today, absolutely smash it. If I can see that they're really making a effort, and I can see that they've really put in such a great day, I just make a quick comment about it. So, and we were at something the other week when they turned around and said, for every 4 comments, you've got your 1 negative. So you have to 1 negative, you've got to do 4, reassurance. And they actually said that, you are better off doing a constant, constant sort of, not even just reassurance, but just feedback, I guess, on how they're going. So when you do turn around and say, hey, today, this, and this, we need some improvement, what's going on? And I had that last week so I had, my workers on the phone, and I was like, well, guys, this is what this is missed, this wasn't done properly, whatever. And I said to the both of them, I was like, you never get me really having this tone of voice. So this must mean we really need to address this. This can't happen. This is, unacceptable. So how do you, because that's my method of being able to talk to people. And I also, even with the people that I've got on labour hire and things like that, my constant is trying to talk to them and be like, if it's unsafe on site, if someone's talking to you a certain way, I try and make sure that there's this open line of communication. I guess that's what, the point I'm trying to make. I think that that's number one. You can come and talk to me and we're going to have at least a discussion.
Yeah, we call it the shit sandwich. So we start with a positive, we go to the negative, and we wrap it up with a positive. So we've learned that if we go to site in a negative mindset, if we're angry, if we're frustrated at them, all well and good, but you smash that smile on your face, you ask them how they are, how their family is, how their day's been, how their weekend was, give them a compliment, address the issue at hand, and then wrap it up with, I think you're doing an amazing job. because they'll go into it in a light-headed frame of mind instead of you starting with being angry. Well, that mentality is going to follow through the whole day on site. You've been there 5 minutes, but they're 8 hours. And you've just ruined that whole day on site for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, because most people don't tend to, when they're on site as well, keep the what's going on to themselves. They want to go and talk to everybody, get everybody's advice, get their opinion. Oh my God, I've been spoken to like this. I can't believe it. That's the other thing for me, is I really try and put it into perspective and not let it get out of hand, and sort of say, look, I want to talk about this, particular situation. We don't need to go on any further. We just need to clarify this and get on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few of our staff who we're very, very flexible in allowing them to do kid drop off or whatever it might be, but they just make up the hours later in the week. And we've had a very similar experience where our other employees are on site working hard, and then these guys cruise in and roll in to start their day. But they don't know that we've said, yes, you can start later, because no one thought to tell one another. And now they're all hating this person over here, and for no reason. And then Chinese whispers happen between the whole group. And all of a sudden, it's exploded and all the way up here. So we've just learned to be open with our team and say, this is such and such as we don't give their personal information, but we've allowed them to start later. This is an agreement with them. We know, and it's okay. And we continue the communication, so it prevents these constant Chinese whispers around the team. It becomes toxic.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think that's a great example. And one thing that I've always, been trying to talk to business owners about and things as well, as one of the ways to get your staff involved and get them to also build the culture and things like that, get them invested in the business. So hey guys, in the next 6 months we're looking at this massive growth. This is what we're going to be doing. It's going to be exciting. Talk to them. Don't have this level of, you should just work for me and that's going to be it, because we just don't live in that world anymore. You want to make sure that your staff are getting excited about the potential of, okay, well, how can we upskill you, or what's your interest in life? And especially for a lot of them, I find that a lot of them aren't educated in the way that what to do with their super, for example. How do they buy a house? But what is their goal? What do they want to achieve in life? Do they want to, I accept everyone for who they are. And that's one great things that I've also learned, in recruitment, is to be able to, I don't want everyone to be like me. I want to see what someone's value is going to bring to the business and see how they are as a person and look at the positives and the negatives and how that's going to work. For me, though, a lot of it is that, I, even with my staff, I'm very much guys, we had a great year this year. We have, we've got some, we've done this. We're looking to, fix this or streamline this procedure a bit more, because I think that's where it needs some work. But next year, this is what we're looking at doing. This is where the business is going. It's going to be great. This is how I'm going to be able to, implement a structure, for bonuses. I sort of think that it's such a natural thing to do, but it's really not. There's so many businesses that are not talking to their staff and involving them, and wondering why that they're just getting up and leaving, because it's just a job. They're not included. We are, as humans, we want to be part of a community, you know?
Yeah, it's a natural instinct. That's what we do with all of our staff. We 100% include them because they want to know that they're growing with the company and not being a stalemate. They want to see success in their life, instead of just, for us, throwing mud on walls every day. It's, now that we've gone back into commercial, they can get more hands-on with a lot more framing, and we've just hired our first sheeter full time. So everyone in our team is getting back in and learning how to sheet quickly instead of, we'll just slap one here and slap one there when we have to. You know, they want to see growth, and they get excited. It's half the reason why we turn around and introduce Venetian Plastering, is because we needed to find another avenue to keep our staff motivated and keep them energized about their industry. Otherwise, they're going to go looking elsewhere. And a few of them have, and that's okay. At the end of the day, we're here for as long as they need us. We will be there, and we'll work as a team and help them as much as possible. But we've done the same thing with our staff. At all our reviews, we sit and ask them what their goals are. And if they have no goals, I'll say, all right, let's catch up in a month's time, and let's see if you've come up with any. And we constantly review.
Well, it should be like, you know, a holistic approach. So it should be like, you know, do you want to travel? Like, how, you know, family, like what, you know, holistically, like, you know, if we're in it together. And again, like, this is a massive thing for me in terms of like bridging that gap with, you know, communication, different age groups, you know, all of that sort of stuff. Like, you know, as much as like it's so different for, you know, for the younger, you know, the 20s that we have coming through when everyone's finding it challenging, you know, I think the more you look at their world and, you know, what, like being in the internet and being involved and like, you know, all of that sort of stuff, if you turn around and see that that's how they operate, then you need to see how you can kind of like involve that into your business, because whether you like it or not, they're the ones that are going to continuously grow your business, and they're the ones that are going to, you know, understand the next generation of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got an 18-year-old apprentice who just he was a school-based apprentice, and he's just graduated, and we sat him down last week and said, what are your goals? Think big. He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, all right, let's go away. Let's do a 10-year goal plan, and we're going to work it back to how we're going to achieve that each week. So we're going to go 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, month, and down to your weeks. And it might just be simply putting aside $50 a week. It might just be whatever it might be. Let's make it happen instead of you sitting there stalemate and questioning what you're doing with your life. You know, I get so much joy out of achieving my goals, and I set my goals every few months, because otherwise I sit there going, you know, it's a hamster wheel. You're just constantly going, and you don't feel like you're achieving anything. It's you 100% need to constantly keep yourself on your toes. But in saying that, going back 2 steps, we've got an employee who's been with us. He did an apprenticeship with Chris's old business, and he's been with us 5 years now. And we've got him running a project at the moment. And all of a sudden, this guy who has been falling in the shadows, always questioning and doubting himself, is now running a team of 10 other guys and dominating. And all of a sudden, this skill that we never knew existed is just shining. And you go, where's this guy been? Because he's been hiding under a rock, so unsure of himself. He just needed the opportunity to get out there. You know, it's one of those things that you have to keep not rotating your team, but giving people opportunities, because you never know when they're going to just blow you away.
Yeah. And how have you like managed that, you know, relationship and made sure that you can make him sort of blossom and see the best?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, Chris went and met with him today on site just to get an overview of where they're at, if he needs any help. Turns out he's been making phone calls after hours. He's been organising the electrician, the builder, XYZ trades, which the plasterer often gets delegated to, because we seem to be this middle trade.
Right.
So it's he's doing all these after hours calls and not putting down any time for it. So Chris has relayed this on the phone to me, and I've gone, all right, he needs to be paid for that time. And then he also needs to receive a bonus for this additional responsibility. So I'm now giving him a bonus next week to be able to just as a thank you more than anything, because people need to be remunerated, especially when they're taking on another responsibility. The moment they're not, or they question that you're not appreciating all that additional work that they're doing, they will start turning on you. And that's the last thing we want.
100%. 100%. And that's all like, I also don't understand, you know, for me, like, why it's so hard for, like, you've got to find a balance, right? And so there's always, like, we go through it. Sometimes it's really frustrating because you'll tell someone that they are doing an amazing job and then it makes them feel like they can drop the ball. It's like, then the next minute you're like, what happened to you? We just had this conversation. Why are you, you know, doing this? I actually had someone work for me and he did do a great job. And I said, but you cannot be late to work one more day. Otherwise, that's going to be it for you. And then the next day, I think he got drunk the night before.
Yeah.
And then was late to work. And I was like, well, now, like, you're in your trial period. So now I'm going to have to get rid of you. And he couldn't understand what went wrong. And I went, because, you know, like, just because I tell you that you're doing a good job, that doesn't mean that you can turn around and drop the ball the next.
Yeah.
But we do also, like, for me, again, I like actually telling people when they're doing a good job, so they know that they are, so they know that they're on the right track, you know. But I still find that there's a lot of companies out there that feel like people are being really entitled, so they don't want to tell them, like, that they're doing a good job. Like, they're sick of trying to give, you know, good feedback. They're like, but they're just doing a job and they get their thank you at the end of the week when they get paid. Why do I have to tell them? So well, I guess the question in that is, you know, where do you draw the line? And do you think that it works, like, the little bit extra to just give them that constant little feedback?
I don't think it needs to be constant. I think it needs to be when it's merited. So one of our guys he's hungry for it. He needs it. But you give him too much. Yeah, he becomes too needy. And you all of a sudden, he's calling multiple times a day just to get that reassurance, just to get that pat on the back. I've had to push back and say, no. This is what I will tolerate. So and now that when I do see him, he'll appreciate what I'm giving him in his feedback.
Right.
But there's no point in, there's absolutely no point in constantly patting someone on the back if they're genuine, like, they might be doing a good job, but they also need to be kept on their toes a bit to a degree, because otherwise they get too complacent.
Right, but they are just doing their job as well.
Yeah.
They're not turning magic tricks. Like,
we try to keep we try to constantly choose one or the other to appreciate. So last week, for example, we gave out a whole heap of awards just as a bit of a joke, end of year. You know, someone won the Gift of the Gab award, someone won the Can Create a Frame, or whatever it might be, like, or one was the lunch boy hero, the guy that always fails on picking up the right lunch order, or, you know, whatever it might be. But we don't receive a thank you, but we do it because it always just shows that one little bit of extra appreciation.
I just want to pop in there for a second, right? Isn't it interesting though, like, as a business owner, like, I actually had someone call me or text me on Friday, and, you know, it was one of the boys that used to work for me, and it was really nice. He actually turned around and said, you know, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am. You know, it was because you gave me the opportunity and you believed in me. But that's like a rare occasion. I've hired thousands and thousands of people. I can probably count on two hands how many people have actually come back to me and said, you know, thank you for this opportunity. You know, thank you for getting me started, you know, introducing me to this great company, whatever, right? So isn't it funny, though, that for, you know, that there is still this whole thing that not that we want to thank you. I'm not saying we want it, but we do all of this stuff that they don't see. And they all want to thank you, but it's not like they're coming to us going, hey, you know what? Thanks for making sure we get paid every week and you look after my family and, you know, you make sure that we've got a job to go to. Like we know that there is so much responsibility that sits on your shoulders as a business owner to make sure that you have, you know, for example, you guys have like project to project for them to go to.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a full-time job for us. I, as a business owner, do want to thank you sometimes. Like, I want to know that what I'm doing is being appreciated. You know, maybe one of our 20 staff might say thank you, and that's all I need. I used to get really, really caught up in the, what the fuck, I paid thousands and thousands of dollars. You know what? Couldn't even say thank you.
Yeah.
What's the point, right? What's the point in bringing that negative energy on yourself? Because that's going to pull you down into this negative spiral, and that's where you're going to sit. And what's the point in that? You know, we've got to get onwards and upwards. I told them all last week that I was giving them all a bonus for Christmas. No one said thank you. And except for one who wasn't actually at the meeting, and he texted me just to say, hey, thanks, I just heard word, really appreciate it. And you're like, yes, that's all I need. But then today I had a phone call from one of our staff who we're helping out at the moment because he's going through really, really rough times. And he called to say, I just want to say I'm so incredibly thankful for employing me and for doing this for me. And like, you're the best employee that we've ever worked for. And shit, that is why I do this, right? Because if I can help one person, if I can help 100, I am achieving something in this bloody world, and it's all worth it.
100%. Like, it makes me, as much as like, you know, sometimes I like have a hard shell and I'm like, I'm just doing a job, whatever. I can tell you, like, when I hear from people that, you know, they've referred me on, or, you know, they love working for me, or, you know, anything, it makes me go, okay, great. Like, I'm doing the right thing. At least someone's like seeing, you know, how hard I try and that they appreciate me, you know?
And it's 2 steps back to that employee that needs that pat on the back. It doesn't need to happen all the time, but it does need to happen.
Yeah.
We are the same. Just because we employ them doesn't mean we don't need a pat on the back. You need some acknowledgement or something. And if I can give that to each of our employees, then great. Going through our reviews, I always finish it with we are so thankful. I value these attributes from you. And I'm very specific to, like, I know them personally. I know what they bring to the team, and I'm going to thank them for that. And you see them shine and walk out buzzing, you know, because I have acknowledged their strengths. And I think
and I think it's just such a huge thing that we all have to remember that we're not robots at the end of the day. We're all humans, and we're all just out here trying our best. So the more sort of like, the more appreciation we can just, you know, give to anyone and everyone in life, you know, it doesn't matter who it is, be positive, like, show that appreciation and see what everyone's trying to achieve. You know, the better off would be just as like a whole, like just in the world, you know.
Giving one compliment a day to one person, you achieve so much. That one person walks away with an absolute buzz, and the world's a better place.
And I just think, like, you know, on a general note, just understanding that, you know, people have a bad day. People have got things going on in their personal life. Like, you know, one thing you mentioned was, you know, you get onto site and you ask people how they're doing and, you know, whatever. I do it as well, especially, you know, for example, if I know someone's like a great worker and they're normally very good at communicating, if I can see something's dropped down, it's normally because like something's going on.
Yeah.
So I think that's when, you know, you start doing that, are you okay, or what's happening personally, or, you know, whatever's going on. So I think, you know, we'll kind of finish it up there. We've had a great conversation. And I love how we've ended it. Yeah, but I love how we've ended it on a positive, that I feel like, you know, on a positive note to share that sort of, you know, positivity in the world. I think we've all had such a big year. I know you guys have as well. You know that I'm I absolutely love you and Chris. I think you are both amazing people, and people can learn a lot from what you guys are trying to do in the industry as well. So I appreciate your time, and is there any sort of final advice that you would give to anyone starting their own business, especially in this climate?
In this climate, and in any climate, it is hard. There is no denying it. There you will have blood, sweat, and tears, but it is rewarding, and that's why we do it. It's rewarding for us personally. It's rewarding for those around us. It's something that, if you're looking at the big picture, absolutely go for it. It's something that, you have to put in the hard work. You don't get handed it on a platter at all. You will do the late hours and the late nights, but you will find a way, and it will get easier.
Yeah, love it. Well, thank you so much for your time, CRA, Kim from CRA Constructions again. And you are welcome to come on anytime you like. But thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Talent Instinct. I'm Chantal Penny, and if you want more razor sharp insider info on instinctivizing your hiring game, then hit the subscribe button. Oh, and remember to drop a killer rating and review. Please don't hold back. Spread the news to fellow construction business owners too. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and soak up all of my content, please do so by stalking us on Talent Instinct and my brainchild Siteforce Recruitment on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.